Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all had a wonderful lunch and are ready for Made in Wisconsin Biopharma Manufacturing. Not only is this topic near to my heart, but very fitting for me personally to be doing this introduction. My name is Amy Lemire Stoops, and 45 years ago today, I too was born or made into Wisconsin. I'm now the Madison Division Manager of J.P. Cullen, a fifth-generation, family-owned and Wisconsin-grown construction management firm that started in 1892 in Janesville, Wisconsin. At J.P. Cullen, we specialize in tough jobs. These are projects that require extensive collaboration, particular attention to detail, and mission-critical coordination. Tough jobs that include typically expedited speed to market and impeccable quality. We accomplish these feats by self-performing the most challenging construction tasks with a local labor force of experts. While this pride and work ethic may not be unique to the Midwest, I'm sure that we can all agree that it is certainly born and bred here. At J.P. Cullen, we are happy to be sponsors of the BioHealth Summit, and as a member of BioForward, we are here to support the growing biohealth industry and recognize Wisconsin's leadership in the development and manufacturing of biopharmaceutical products. We are proud to partner with many of you in this room and along with leaders from around the state. And it is my honor to introduce BioForward's board member, Adam Kuyat from Sterling Pharma Solutions. Adam?
Good afternoon. I want to thank you for joining the conversation this morning, or this afternoon rather, as we talk about some of the infrastructure here that already exists in Wisconsin to support things. So Sterling Pharma Solutions, if you're not familiar with the business, actually Legacy Cambridge Major Labs, Alchemy Pharma Solutions, and now Sterling Pharma Solutions, has a pretty rich history actually dating back to the 50s. But what we do and what our vision is and our mission within the industry on the CDMO side of things is to be the preferred API provider for the pharmaceutical industry. So API, active pharmaceutical ingredients, really core to what we do is the drug substance piece of it, the active ingredient within a drug product. And it's really focused on the scientific collaboration that's required as we take and help people through the clinical space, all the way through to commercialization and managing their supply chain from the long term. So how do we take all those pieces and put them together? Because what we do is a highly technical business at the end of the day. I'm a chemist. We employ an awful lot of chemists. And so at the core of what we do is focused on the innovation, the technical support for biotechs and large pharma as they put together their CMC packages, need to deliver API to the clinic and ultimately commercialize it. And what Sterling has done very specifically is focus on really just the drug substance portion of it, rather than a jack of all trades, but focus rather on being a master of one. It's been growing significantly to drive the capacity piece of it, and all the accoutrement that goes with it from a capabilities side of things, as well as the compliance side of things, is key to being able to be a reliable partner in this space. More than anything, though, we pride ourselves on being a partner. So a large portion of our customer base are the biotechs. In fact, because most innovation come out of the biotech industry as opposed to large pharma, 50% of the first in-class oncolytic drugs over the last 10 years have come out of biotech. And so most of the innovation drives through that, which means that they need a lot of support and infrastructure to be able to take that through the clinic and into commercialization, as they generally don't have that type of infrastructure themselves. That means that 1-2 asset company really requires a strong partnership through that development phase to be able to help them navigate the regulatory landscape, to ultimately help them file a successful IND and into NDA. And it's been a growth trajectory that's really been across Europe, the UK, and the US as Sterling Pharma has grown here over really the last 10 years or so since it spun off from its original founding organization. The site that I'm responsible for is in Germantown, Wisconsin. Been there since 2004 when it was first constructed. But it's been a mix of biotech on the front end side of things. So ADC Bio in Wales was specifically an acquisition to help us in the bioconjugation space. It was very focused on the front end piece of the clinical chain, all the way through Cary, North Carolina in the RTP Biotech hub, where you have really front end support for the API side of the business. And then Germantown, D-side, and Ringaskiddy. Ringaskiddy was a former Novartis site, large pharma, helps to support then creating clinical supply and taking it all the way through into commercialization in the large volumes. So a big part of what we do then is not only partner with the biotech, but as you can see now that we have 80 commercial products in the portfolio, a big part of that has been helping biotechs to then transact those assets to large pharma. As a consequence, we have 7 of the 10 biggest pharma companies are partners within our network. And that really came from collaboration that started in early clinical phase development for new chemical entities. And many times was helping them put together a portfolio of information that supported their acquisition in a large pharma business. It's been growing significantly, compounded annual growth rate of 41%. It's been a mix of organic and inorganic growth, and some of what we'll talk about today is why we've specifically doubled down on the expansion here in Wisconsin and what have been the key drivers for why we've decided to do that. So looking forward to a conversation today with folks that work closely in the same space as I do, as well as to answer questions as we progress the afternoon. So thank you, and with that, I'll introduce Justin.
Thank you, Adam, for the great introduction, and thank you, BioForward, for inviting me here today to represent Catalent. So I'm here as part of our Catalent Biologics business unit. I'll be giving you an overview of everything we offer within Catalent Biologics. At the end, I'll show you some of the other offerings within Catalent, and I'll specifically focus on our site here in Madison, Wisconsin. So Catalent is a contract development and manufacturing organization, and we offer both integrated, so end-to-end, and standalone services for many different pharmaceutical and biotech customers and partners. Within the modalities that we offer for biologics, we have antibodies, other recombinant proteins, plasmids. We have a thriving cell and gene business, and also offer manufacturing for mRNA therapeutics. As I mentioned, we have integrated offerings, and really that is tailored to any type of partner out in this space, whether you're a early phase VC-funded virtual company looking to outsource your manufacturing to get into your first in-patient experience, or you're a large pharma company looking for additional manufacturing commercialization and to de-risk your commercial programs, we have the ability to do that for you. In terms of what Catalent offers, we have cell line development programs that are platform as well as mRNA platforms on the drug substance side to get you all the way through the life cycle of your program. In addition to having drug substance capabilities, Catalent as a whole has end-to-end offerings. So you can go from drug substance to one of our fill and finish drug product sites and have those vials of product managed, packaged, and shipped out from one of our clinical supply service sites as well. So now to talk a little bit more about the Madison site, here's a great aerial picture of the facility. It's right off on the corner of Old Sauk and Pleasant View Road. And what you can see here is in the kind of upper level is our main facility area. We have a commercial-ready single-use facility. Within the site, we have multiple trains for GMP manufacturing, ranging from 250 up to a larger scale, 4,000-liter single-use bioreactor technology. Within the site, we have process development capabilities analytical development and testing, as well as all of the quality functions needed to manufacture and release and develop, manufacture, and release the drug substance for all of our partners. As I mentioned earlier, we have a really nice mix of early and late stage clients that we work with on a day-to-day basis. And in addition to your typical protein manufacturing, the site also has extensive mRNA manufacturing capabilities as well. So diving a little deeper into some of the key areas and key features of the Madison site. The site itself that we're currently in we moved in 2013, so we're just celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year. In 2021, we did an expansion where we more than doubled the manufacturing capacity out of the site. We focus on protein and mRNA. We've done some other kind of unique programs as well for clients needing unique solutions. And with today's theme of personalized medicine, I thought I would comment on the origins of our mRNA platform offering. Back in 2016, we worked very closely with a very small company at the time, Moderna, to help develop their personalized cancer vaccine using mRNA technology, and that became the basis for the mRNA processes that we offer to multiple clients today. In terms of who we partner with, we work with 41 of the top 50 biotech and pharma companies in the industry. The site has about 300,000 square feet. As I mentioned before, we have end-to-end offerings to serve whatever our clients need. And what I didn't mention specifically on the last slide, but I wanted to point out here, is one of the cornerstones of the Madison site and one of the key jewels of Catalent is our GPEx technology. This is a cell line offering. It actually stands for Gene Expression System, where we have a really well-characterized cell type that's now been used is used in over 20 commercial programs and currently in over 200 different active clinical trials. And what that has been great for is having a robust system for expression of your typical monoclonal antibodies, as well as some of those much harder to express proteins. And our latest offering, GPEx Lightning, has been able to hit titers of over 15 grams per liter, which is the highest the industry is seeing at this point in time. So a really great option for folks starting up a program, looking to maintain a really strong cost of goods, high expression levels, and also something that many later stage and commercial clients are coming to us for to look at the next generation of their processes. So taking one step back from Catalent Biologics, we are just a part of overall Catalent, where we have multiple different offerings out there for any partners looking to outsource their manufacturing. Here's just an image of all the areas where Catalent works and can provide manufacturing services. And with that, I will hand it off to Dave.
So hello everyone, my name is David Goodell and I'm the head of API R&D at MilliporeSigma. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a flavor for our company, but really with a focus on the Wisconsin locations. So what MilliporeSigma is a global life science company with 4 different manufacturing locations inside the state. So there are sites in Sheboygan, as well as Milwaukee, Madison, and then Verona. The part of which may be of most interest to this group would be the pharma side, which is done in our Madison and Verona locations. And that screen, you can see the photograph of our recently finished expansion to really increase the capacity for API production inside the state. So to take a step back of what we are, so we are a CTDMO, which is a contract testing, development, and manufacturing organization. What does that mean? So that means we're a service provider. We work with developers of new therapies that are going to be entering the clinic. And those developers oftentimes don't have the expertise once they figure out what they're going to want to pull forward to actually bring it through the clinic and get it to be an authorized launched product. So that's where we come in. And we've really focused across a broad variety of traditional as well as novel modalities. So inside of traditional biologics would be traditional antibodies, small molecules, APIs, high potent APIs, which is also a tremendous focus for us, as well as some advanced intermediates. Those would represent the traditional modalities. We've also been targeting getting involved with more of the novel ones and some of the new technologies out there. One of those are targeted therapies where basically instead of systemically treating, it treats a spot. And ADC, or antibody drug conjugates, are a very advanced area of that new emerging field. We've been working with that for several years, and the point now where we're very happy to be involved with over half of what's been launched and is present out in the market is made here in Wisconsin at our facilities. mRNA, just briefly spoken about before, is also an area for us. We've been involved with that from the early going as well. Just launched a full end-to-end service offer of that in the last month, really, which will supplement the work we've already done of helping getting the vaccines to clinic and to market, really. And then finally, another new area that we're looking at is protein degraders. So these would be small molecules which are not traditional in the sense, but instead of inhibiting, they tag for destruction inside the body. And there's a tremendous amount of research going on in the pharma right now. So we're looking at ways that we can get involved to help those developers come forward. And so I think really the focus is on what is popular right now, but where is everyone going, so we can really deliver the solutions that these individual developers are bringing forward in the right time. And so I've highlighted 3 of the 5 zones up there because even though we are a large global company, those 3 of those 5, those work is all done inside of the state of Wisconsin. So there's a pretty significant footprint here for all the work that's coming forward to bring those to life. Diving in a little bit further into API, which is the focus of the Madison Verona. So this would be small molecule, and then with help with some biologics. This originated out of 35 years ago, the site, from Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin spinoff at the time, now has become part of Millipore, and really has been around development of high potent drugs. And so these are ones that in very small doses can have a profound effect. So you need a tremendous level of control, both in terms of engineering, but as well in terms of procedures to handle them safely. And you can see a photograph there of our new suites that are just opening up, whereas everything happens behind those doors, which is what enables everyone to work on the project safely. As a result of having that infrastructure, we've been pretty well positioned over the years to get involved in anything that may be high potent, whether it be hormones to immunosuppressants, but whereas really is taken off is oncology. So that's been primarily the types of developers that we support. Over that time, there's been a tremendous amount of projects brought in really from early phase and all the way through launch to the point now where we commercially manufacture in Dane County 26 APIs. So it's a pretty significant contribution to that. In addition to that, I mentioned the targeted therapies, the antibody drug conjugates, with over half being made here. That, just to give an idea of the flavor, the impact of that. So we made now 125 commercial batches of those here. And you think about each of those batches serves numerous patients. And these are all different therapies that aren't frontline. These are, second, third failed treatment. So it's really given people a lot of hope and a position where maybe it was not present before these came along. So that's particularly satisfying for all of us. And I think really thing to highlight on here is that the way we differentiate and what sets us apart from others is that really we deliver a very strong technically plus quality. So from a technical side, we really try to get to the point where we have firm understanding of everything that's going into a procedure, so we know that we can manufacture it robustly. That includes what you want to be there, but as well as what you don't, and how it comes in and goes away. That's a really important part of any type of regulatory package. And then we back that up with an extremely strong quality system. So behind that, bringing 26 drugs to market over the past several years inside the area, we've had numerous inspections from all over the world, from European to American to Asian regulators. Never a warning letter, never a recall. So everything has gone really well. So we really differentiate by focusing that technology, adding it to the quality, and what you get is a really robust CMC package that helps our clients move forward. So, to sum it up, Millipore is a worldwide life science company. Our wing here in Wisconsin predominantly is the contract testing, development, and manufacturing. Focus in a few different technology areas, but most of them are really inside the state. So it's a pretty strong industry across the different cities around the state. And then from there, we manufacture all the way from the beginning, preclinical, all the way to commercial products. And including in that really is setting people apart as differentiating on the quality and technical. So thank you for that. And now I'm going to ask Lori to come.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. My name is Lori Aschenbrenner. I'm a director of drug development and regulatory strategy. I work at LabCorp. What some of you may recognize the LabCorp name is for diagnostics, maybe clinical lab, maybe COVID testing. You may not know, though, that we do a lot of drug development testing and early research development. We have research laboratories all across the globe. So some are in Asia, Pacific region, some are in UK and EU, but one of our flagship sites is right here in Madison, Wisconsin. In Madison, we do focus on that drug development aspect of research. We focus on understanding efficacy, we focus on safety assessment with toxicology studies, also metabolism, bioanalysis, and analytical programs, as well as environmental risk assessment, and we even have a consultative service, which provides scientific and regulatory advice, as well as program management capabilities to help integrate your drug development solutions. We are a large laboratory network. We have a wide variety of expertise across a wide variety of therapeutic indications, including oncology. We have lots of cell and gene therapy experience, endocrinology, cardiovascular. We cover quite a wide array of topics. Our Madison site covers most of the drug development pathway, all the way from discovery through commercialization. We do pharmacology and DMPK work there. We also have one of our centers of excellence for cell and gene therapy is located in Madison. So again, hitting on that personalized medicine component of this conference. So that's really nice to hear. And we do also have, maybe not at our Madison site, but we do have analytical testing capabilities. So you've heard from a lot of the manufacturers here in Wisconsin. We do have those analytical testing capabilities as well, just not located at our Madison site. We also have, again, the consultative services. Our laboratory network is very strong. We have a wide number of PhD scientists. There's about, we employ about 1,200 people here in Madison, so we have a strong presence in Madison. We cover a wide variety of different areas of expertise, and we cover a wide variety of industries, including pharmaceutical, biotechnology, medical device, crop and chemical protection. So, and about half of our customers are actually small biotechs. So we do work with some of the small biotechs that are actually based here in Wisconsin. So again, I focused on all of our capabilities, but we do have analytical capabilities. We cover a lot of vaccine testing, monoclonal antibody testing, cell and gene therapy testing, and provide that characterization. So if you're manufacturing at maybe a smaller CDMO to begin with, and then you're going to go to larger CDMO later, you can have one central place to do all of your testing so that you have consistent results all the way across your drug development pathway. And then, so what do? I sit within our early phase development solutions group, and we provide both the scientific and regulatory consulting to help your program all the way from those early discovery stages to meet your milestones all the way to commercialization. And I work with certified program managers that help really minimize that white space. We work on with all the different study teams within our organization, as well as your external vendors, and pull that all together and piece it together for you and act as essentially your drug development team for hire. So thank you.
Well, again, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Aside from this being a great social experiment to take a bunch of scientists who are naturally introverted and put them in front of a crowd to just see what happens, appreciate if anybody has questions. We want this to be interactive as well. So there's 2 microphones here on either side that if you have questions, by all means, go ahead and form a line, and we'll call on you as we notice that. But maybe I'll kick us off a little bit. So we all kind of work in different spaces, but a fair bit of overlap. So we probably have a bit of a difference in our customer base. Lori, maybe we'll start with you. Tell me a little bit about your customer base. What do they most frequently come with, and when do they engage you in their process?
Yeah, so we typically see customers at that very early stage. So we might even see them prior to when they're ready to manufacture any sort of compounds, because we can do studies as early as discovery. So it may be lab scale material that we're working with, and those early studies to sort of establish that your compound is looking the way that you want to. We do, but then we also engage with customers later on as well. So we engage really at all the stages.
I kind of noticed everybody mentioned technical value as a big part of the proposition, I guess. Dave, tell me a little bit about how you position that and what's unique about, I suppose, the Wisconsin site in terms of your technical expertise.
Well, I think it's extremely important to us. So there are a few different ways that we position that, right? One is that we try to play in the markets that are the fastest growing and the most available to really help the greatest number of people we can, so things that are coming big. But as far as actual projects we do, there's a couple different approaches we take. One would be is that really we define a really robust technical package and knowing of everything that's going on, identifying everything that you don't want to be there as well as be there. And this is more specific to specific service, so that when things are manufactured over time, they're manufactured efficiently. So that reduces a lot of risk. The second aspect of how we really go about that is we focus on a few technology areas, so we see the trends that are coming. And so we try to bring forth a few innovations, whether they be something that may get the customer or the developer through the clinic faster. So maybe an advanced intermediate they could start with. Or potentially even, we identify potential pitfalls of why things fail in the clinic. So we'll have additional supplementary service/products that can be added to that. For example, the targeted therapies one is oftentimes, 25% of those types we talk about that enter the clinic fail because of solubility. So we provide, for those people, we provide a sugar which can readily be added to their compound, which is demonstrated to solubilize and move those forward. So really it's a couple different aspects. One is that, making sure that everything that they need for their technical packet is robust, sound, and can readily be reproduced, but also to bring forth maybe some innovations and technologies that can support them that they might not even know they need as they enter the clinic cycle.
It can be tough to sort of deal with having to both get breadth and depth in areas. And a big part of what we obviously have to provide is depth, but if you don't have the breadth, you can't cast a wide net. Catalent has a pretty wide net. How do you guys develop both a wide net and a solid depth?
Great question. So we absolutely have that wide net, but I think, at least for the Madison site, it's great to be focused on really 2 things, protein, right, and mRNA. And the way we approach giving the best offerings to our partners is, for those of them who have something very early, they have a target that they're going after, they know the gene sequence, but they want to get as quickly into the clinic as possible to say, here's our platform offering. We can do it in 11 or 12 months from sequence to release. And that's very, very attractive to those folks who want to move quickly and maybe themselves often don't have the technical depth to bring to the party on manufacturing. Paired with that, the breadth pieces, we can then go rely on other pieces of the Catalent network who are experts in other areas. We can say, hey, all right, the site here is responsible for getting you high quality, preferably high concentration drug substance over to the drug product site where they can figure out the best formulation, stability, and figure out how to get that into all the vials that are then getting delivered out to the patients in need, and then distribute to trials as well. So each site's bringing their own technical depth, and then leveraging the breadth of the rest of the network and putting the appropriate project management structure in place to make it feel seamless for our clients. And we call that our One Bio, so that you have a one-stop shop and a seamless program that's running for you, and keeping that really tight-knit partnership with all the clients we work with.
It's a small world, and therefore somewhat of a small talent pool, as it were. And Wisconsin isn't always considered at the forefront in people's minds from a tech hub, but there's a significant amount of infrastructure and companies here that exist. Tell me a little bit about what you've seen as a benefit or as a challenge from talent recruitment and retention in this region. I saw Dr. Cook earlier. If I hire any more of his PhDs, he's going to have to come and work for me. And I've hired so many chemies from UW-Madison that I have to pay him royalties at this point. But aside from that, I guess tell me about what's been good, bad, and challenging or otherwise around sort of the talent development and recruitment in this kind of niche space.
Yeah, I can start. So I think talent recruitment is always a challenge wherever you are. But I think that Madison is a really unique place. It is a place where you have a university, you have places like Epic, you have a lot of technology, even for within a small area that does facilitate attracting the top talent. I think also remote work and the ability to have flexible work options is also another way that we can recruit talent. I think we have programs to also work with high school students that are local to start with summer internship programs, and we have folks that have worked their way up very high levels in the organization that have started in those types of programs. So I think that Wisconsin offers a lot to the employees, and while it can be a challenge initially, I think that there is a lot to offer. In fact, I actually moved back from San Diego to Wisconsin, so and am quite happy living in Wisconsin. So.
I find a lot of people are people that maybe went to school here, left, and come back maybe when they're ready to settle in. But remote work is an interesting challenge because they generally frown upon you doing chemistry in your garage. But I guess, Dave, how has Millipore Sigma used, leverage, or otherwise remote work for talent management?
Well, I think we have a solid policy put in place, and really what that has enabled everybody to do is to focus on, obviously things were different at the very beginning of the pandemic as opposed to moving forward from it, but really enable people to work as most efficiently as it is to get the maximum amount of work done while being present on site as need be. So I think it's very different for different types of jobs. Like some, as you mentioned, have to be there. But I think for the others, it added a lot of dimension of flexibility that has really improved, I would say, engagement and retention over time. So if you can master that and keep things moving forward while still being effective, I think it presents a really tremendous opportunity, and it certainly appears to be here to stay.
Yeah, I think it's weird when you have a meeting and you're in a teleconference meeting with somebody who's sitting across the hall because it's just become the norm. But it has made it easier to integrate. We're all kind of part of larger organizations. Catalent is especially large. So how do you, in the Madison site or in the Wisconsin-based kind of business, how does it integrate with the rest of the network, and where does it not integrate with the rest of the network?
Two great questions. So I think that where we integrate really well is where we have we're all part of the same kind of stream of work that is out there serving our clients. So really clustering our efforts so that we're matching up with what the customers are out there asking for, and making sure we have those processes in place. And something that we do to help our internal team know about each other's capabilities is we love to have our partners come out and visit our sites, but some of our partners will be using 3 or more of our sites. So we'll actually kind of rotate which site gets to host, and then we'll also invite all of our people that are working on that program to come out and join that, so that we're all coalescing at one spot to get that face-to-face time to augment all the interactions we have ongoing in what is now a very virtual world. I think something that is not super well integrated is we're just starting to really get what I'd say nice cross-pollination with the other side of the business. So legacy Catalent, solid oral dose, consumer health. We're starting to learn more pieces from that, but it's an area where there's some work and a lot of learnings that we can put back into our sites like Madison to make sure we're providing all the cutting-edge service offerings and ways of approaching relationships that we can from learnings of other parts of our business.
So people and talent are one part of it. I guess infrastructure is the other part. So Sterling, for example, the site in Germantown, we're about $250 million worth of hard infrastructure that's been invested over the years. The business started as basically a spin out of some scientists out of Sigma Aldrich, because synthetic organic chemistry is definitely a thing in Wisconsin as a consequence of that. And it's kind of grown over time in this specific area. I know Millipore Sigma just did an expansion. Why in Wisconsin in particular did they decide to invest that money?
Well, I think for a few reasons. One is, and as we've touched here, right, one is that this is a very attractive market for labor, as well as the infrastructure technology in place. It's a good community, good place to draw upon. And then the businesses that were part of Millipore Sigma in Wisconsin are ones that were driving Millipore overall. So those two things come together to really make an attractive investment opportunity. Which is really bodes well for all of us here as all these companies continue to grow in the state and the field grows overall. So, and it's not only been here in Madison, but we also, the facility that we had in Sheboygan also had another extremely large expansion recently. So it's a lot of work to do in the areas that we're working, and a tremendous opportunity for not only the companies, but the community.
Justin, why does Catalent think it's important to maintain a foothold here, as you guys have also expanded recently in Wisconsin?
Yeah, I think that coming out of the roots of the Madison site and facility, it was a spin out of University of Wisconsin technology, so the cell line development technology I opened up with. And from that grew, this extreme depth in process development and all of the follow-on pieces. So I think that Catalent viewed it as, we have this Madison site as a center of excellence for what originally was early stage programs, but we saw that as we were continuing partnerships with programs, they're getting closer to commercial, and then the opportunity as we build our systems to start attracting more later stage existing commercial and large pharma clients, it made sense to reinvest here to leverage the process development expertise. A lot of that is driven by the academic space coming out of UW, and then what's been growing as a really strong, I'd say, biomanufacturing workforce with the help of all the training programs that the state's put in place to really help you do all of the work and complexity associated with something as challenging as biomanufacturing.
See, we have a question.
Yes, thank you. I noticed you're all obviously service providers, and we have a lot of people in the audience that are newer to the pharmaceutical industry or trying to get in. So I'm wondering if all of you or a couple of you can give advice of the one thing you wish your client base knew before they came to you, so that you can do your role in the process that much better.
Maybe Lori, I'll let you start.
That's a really good question. I'm going to answer it maybe a little. I'm going to turn it around just a little bit, because one of the things that LabCorp offers is a consultative service. So we do get a lot of our clients that come to us with straight up academics or an innovation center, working from grants, just breaking into the industry. And we really, our service is really that we provide that early hand-holding. So to be honest, we'll ask you the questions and we'll help you develop that plan and help you be able to really put that plan together, help you figure out a budget, help you come up with a really efficient way, and think creatively about your program. We have a lot of folks that are experienced in regulatory strategy and drug development, and we're always happy to talk to our customer base, whoever they might be. And even if it's early, I've had some clients that I've talked to very, very early on, and maybe they're not quite ready to start work with us, but we talk to them, we help them with a plan, and then maybe in a few years later, we see them again. So I think any information you can share, I think that's the way I'd put it. The more collaborative you can be, the more you can share with us, the more that we can help you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say we take a similar approach as customers come in. It's such a diverse base, right? I mean, it could be large pharma, it could be biotech, and having a sense for where they want to go, you almost have to have the conversation to sort through how far they can go. I mean, biotechs in general, when they're first coming in, they might not have an appreciation for how much it takes to get to a certain stage, right? Most of our customers in our largest commercial products, they all started in preclinical, maybe phase 1 at most. We don't try to pick the winners and say, that one's going all the way, so I'm going to put all my time, energy, and effort into that molecule there, because we have no idea, right? And so it's trying to fit for purpose what they need. And get them to that first milestone, right? Whether it's getting them to the IND, get them first in human, whatever it happens to be. It really can only come through sort of that consultative process to say how far they can go. And I think the landscape has changed a little bit too, and maybe we'll talk about that in a minute around the funding situation. They may have to be more selective about the things that they do because money isn't free anymore. Things have changed in that arena, and so that selection process is really important. Justin, Dave?
Happy to take it. I was going to start by commenting on, I would say, one of my favorite type of clients and partners to work with is those who have done some manufacturing themselves, and I'm not talking about the big pharma. We have one specific that we have a really close partnership around, and one of the reasons why is because they did their own small-scale phase 1 clinical manufacturing at their own site, and they said, we don't have the ability to go further, but they understand the challenges associated with manufacturing, and we have extremely productive conversations. We know how to plan, and that's a dream. And that's not the point to say that everybody should try to do that, but the point is, when you start a relationship, if you're someone who wants to start working with a CDMO, take the time to understand how their business works, have a lot of communication and information transfer, and just put the time in to understand as much nuance about the processes as possible so you can form that partnership together. And I intentionally use the word partnership because sometimes people think of a CDMO as very transactional, like I'm paying you, you're going to take this sequence, and I'm going to talk to you in a couple months when I have my product. That is not how it works. It's really about managing all the complexities and coming up with strategies together to make sure you're getting that drug in time to get the patients that are waiting for it.
And so I would add to that is I wouldn't say there's anything that we would be looking for more out of people coming to us. So we're a service provider and we're here to help. I think generally speaking, people who are coming to seek that might benefit more by engaging a little bit sooner. And by engaging a little bit sooner, then maybe some of the ideas that you maybe could make things better for the asset that's being developed and brought forward can be deployed in a little bit more efficient manner. Or sometimes maybe even it's too late by the time people talk where you're dealing with the tight timeline. So I think as soon as possible, it's not as much, I think, a benefit to us, but really to the candidates that are being brought forward.
So I started to allude to the fact that, the funding landscape has changed. But let's be honest, it's been a really interesting sort of 4 to 5 years. If you look at equity investment in biotech, private equity investment in biotech. 2019, you're about 50 billion was being invested in biotech. The very next year in 2020, it was almost 90 billion. You saw a massive influx over a couple of years, and now it is back to about 45 billion in 2022, right? So a large expansion and now a constriction. There's been lots of talk of reshoring through the course of, all the way even pre-COVID, then through COVID, and now post-COVID. So what's been the differences, or how has your market changed? How has your customer base changed? How they approached you changed as a consequence of what's happened over the last 5 years? What's the evolution been? Lori?
Yeah, I think there have been lots of challenges, right? So I think back in 2020 there were shortages of everything, supply chain, but everyone was really well funded. Everyone wanted to get work done. I think that it has been slower. I think things have slowed down, but I feel like it's a healthy slowdown. It's a slowdown where things are normalizing, and we're able to spend more time looking at strategy and where we want to go and how we want to continue to build and maintain the business. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. It is more challenging. It's tougher to get funding. We have noticed some cancellations because of funding, but the industry is still strong. We still see some really strong companies that are really funded really well, still doing lots of work, still having really aggressive timelines, still getting their compounds into the clinic. I think it's maybe just a little bit more selective at this point.
Happy to add on to that. I think what we've seen with the tightening and less capital out there is, rather than having programs that want to sign everything right away, one giant scope of work, they'll kind of chop it up and go order as you go throughout that process. And I think that it's a really important and something that I'd say the Madison site takes a lot of pride in, is making sure that you're matching the amount of scope that the client is ready to do, and helping match up beyond that so they have an idea of what their key milestones are along the way from a manufacturing perspective. They can match that up with their clinical program and keep that communication going so that they can anticipate the next spends along the way and match that up with their fundraising plans, them knowing that that may be not as easy as it was in the past. In terms of reshoring, there's a bit of an interesting thing that we've seen is there are some larger companies out there that are all of a sudden now really, really interested in having a US-based manufacturing site. And for Catalent specifically, having a site located in Wisconsin that's very well has good proximity to our very large fill finish site in Bloomington, Indiana, which is only 6 hours away. It's a really attractive offering for folks to have both of those right in one central geography.
So as far as the funding situation, certainly things are tighter now than they have been, but that has ebbed and flowed over time, and I'm sure this won't be the last up or down cycle with that. People generally are maybe a little less aggressive to pull the trigger to begin, but they are developers and they do need to bring their candidates forward. Reshoring is certainly an interesting one too, and seen a lot of interest in that. Predominantly for two reasons. One is the supply chain issues that we're seeing before, and another is that there certainly are a number of companies out there now that are identifying political risk in China and East Asia and wanting to rid themselves of that. So from our perspective, much like their case, we try to focus on having a solution to that, whereas we can do we do the GMP, which would be the stuff for human manufacturing in Madison. We've also set up a advanced raw material manufacturing. We do that in Sheboygan. So we're pretty well covered for the types of customers that want to stay inside the geography, and it's also both happens to be in the state.
Yeah, it was interesting. Pre-COVID, you saw a lot of the large pharma trying to reduce channel inventory, right? Like lean manufacturing, get rid of net working capital. I want to have it just in time, and I don't want to spend any money until it shows up on my doorstep. And then everything shut down, and they're like, I need inventory. And there was a pretty significant build over time. Now, for the permanent reshoring piece of it, have you guys seen any barriers to that as you've had those conversations? Because there's a very large appetite for it, but the materialization of it is a little bit of a different thing. Have you guys seen any barriers in that?
So I'm struggling to come up with a good example, actually.
I think that, it's always a good idea, right? And some are more quick to act on it than others, right? Whether it be, financial, or if you're speaking from the customer side. From our physical side, we're set up to do it. So, and that's been the case from before. So I think it's really, everyone has to weigh the situation they are and what risks they're willing to take. So.
I think, thinking about it a little more, I think that one thing that COVID really taught us is how to move quickly into validation if you're trying to validate a process and get it ready for commercial or emergency use. And we've had multiple programs where they've had really positive discussions with the FDA on accelerated, validation programs and the flexibility you can build into those. So that's turned out as great lessons that can be used now where you're taking an already validated process somewhere else, transferring it into a new site, and you want to move quickly to do so because we can take some of those same methodologies and even shorten traditional timelines and communicate those risks in an appropriate way to the agency that they generally find acceptable.
Yeah, and I guess to add to that, LabCorp is global, right? So we have options to work across all of our sites. So if scheduling doesn't work in one site, we do have duplicity, and we can conduct certain activities at other sites to not delay programs. So we follow the same SOPs, same procedures. So you really get the same product no matter where you conduct it. So we really do strive to meet whatever the customers need, whether it's location or timeline or whatever the next driving milestone is. We really try to meet that based on our geographies.
Yeah, I think there was a contraction of space and capacity for a period, especially on the small molecule side, where they proclaimed it was dead not that long ago, and yet it's clearly far from it. And it becomes difficult in, I think, the supply chain to be able to go back and not end up in China and India in some way, shape, or form. So while we've built out a lot of capacity on our side for the drug substance piece, I think the fine chemical and the specialty reagents and otherwise, that is more of a challenge from managing our commercialization and reshoring of things, is to be able to actually have a secure supply chain in the rest of the world. Because a lot of that is no longer present here in the U.S. But Wisconsin 20 years ago, from a foreign export perspective, annually about $100 million on the pharma and medicine side of thing of foreign exports. 20 years later now, we're averaging about 1.5 billion of exports annually out of Wisconsin to foreign countries in the pharma and medicine spaces. I guess I'd be keen to hear from your guys' perspective. What do you think were the drivers for that growth? Or on the other side of it, what do you think are the most important things to consider to continue that trajectory? Lori?
I can speak generally. I think with regard to small molecules, I don't think small molecules are ever going to go away, just based on patient preference, right? So from when you're looking at your strategy for developing a compound, if you're developing a diabetes drug, unless you're adding something that's going to add a lot of benefit, the small molecules are really going to end up being the first line of therapy. So those are really not going away. I think we just have to make sure that we are able to expand and cover the other modalities and be able to adapt to those types of things. We have had recently some expansion at our Madison site to cover cell and gene therapy, as well as the additional immunology and immunotoxicology assays. We've expanded that in the last few years. So we really need to just be able to adapt and be ready for what is coming down the pipeline.
Good.
So I think, some of the areas of why maybe, I mean, obviously, based upon all the growth and even in the community, it's not a surprise to see that number balloon, right? But we do have a tremendous talented pool of workforce here to draw upon, and there's a good draw to stay for the people so that you can build a good critical mass of a community, which I think is important for driving that number upward. And then, from a perspective of the companies that are playing it, it's still a place where you can have a good, solid community, but have a reasonable cost associated with working and living. So I think it's a lot of those play into probably why it's been growing so much.
I think having a reputation for all of our organizations of being experts at what we do is very helpful for driving that export piece and maintaining the client base throughout the world that's looking for that expertise. I'm always surprised to see all of the places where our Madison's cell line has been used and commercialized, and it's all over the world. And it was a discovery out of University of Wisconsin that led to all of this. So I think that really having the foundational hub of the university and the academic center and growing into all these businesses and offerings is probably one of the main drivers of the economical growth and exports into other areas of the world.
So then maybe even on a more personal note, why are you in Wisconsin?
Well, that's a good question. I guess I was born a Badger. I love the seasons. I love the area. I love that we don't have to deal with traffic. I love that there's lots of outdoors activities. I love that we have a wide variety of opportunities to see theater, see sports events, and really, there's, professionally, there's a lot of growth as well. We're a burgeoning biotech community. There's companies that are very successful, like Arrowhead and Exact Sciences, and it's great to be a part of the community.
Good.
So I think, my path here is not from the state. So I first visited in 1999, thinking about going to graduate school in Wisconsin, and it had to have been 15 below. Blowing across the lake, and I didn't come, and I said I'm not coming back. But about 10 years later, I ended up taking a job here, and it turns out to be just a wonderful place to live. It's a great community in which to operate, and so I can't imagine leaving at this point. So I just think it's a tremendous spot to be.
So I feel like since I was born, we spent a whole 12 months in Wisconsin before we left, and I spent the rest of my life trying to get back here. And luckily landed here in grad school and had to leave. And if you ask my wife, I spent every day of that time also trying to get back here. But I think what the draw is for me is the sense of community that Madison has, but really in the biotech space. I think anybody within BioForward, you could probably pick up the phone and call and ask for help on a problem. And they would say, have you thought of this? Have you talked to this person? And I guarantee you that you will probably find something local to help you through whatever challenge you're dealing with it, whether it's in your job or personal life, frankly, to help you. And it's just very special to have that type of community and a very short commute that makes life awesome. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, I got free babysitting because my parents aren't that far away, but I mean, it is a great community. I was born up in the Twin Cities. Actually, only one of the 5 boys that are in my family were born outside of Wisconsin, and that was me. But it is sort of a small communal thing, I think, to a degree. We have sites in other fairly large urban areas, and there almost seems to be a little bit less a sense of loyalty because you can literally walk across the street to a new organization, a new home, a new place, and it changes the dynamic a little bit culturally within it. So I find that it can be hard to get people here, but it's a lot easier to keep them here once they have come. Well, so want to open it up if there's any other questions or comments. The last time I did one of these, the open bar was right after it, and so it closed quite quickly. But I don't think there's an open bar right after it, so want to give anybody an opportunity to ask any other questions. Otherwise, I'll welcome back Michael to close us out.
How about a hand for our panelists?